To save my fiancé David, I jumped into the icy water without hesitation. Because of that, I lost the ability to become a mother and was left with scars all over my face. But I never regretted it, not until the appearance of those twin illegitimate children. My world instantly collapsed. David's betrayal, Emily's provocation, his parents' favoritism, they turned me from a flourishing businesswoman into a despised mistress. Inside, everyone was stunned by my words. David stopped, frowning, looking at me with annoyance. Sarah, can you please stop making a scene? If this gets out, it's not just me who'll be humiliated, but the company too. My father stood up, walked over to me in 2 steps, and slapped me across the face. How long are you going to keep this up? Do you want to ruin everyone? Everyone rushed over to hold my father back and tried to reason with me. David's face was grim, his gaze on me slightly. Sarah, it's been 20 years, how are you still so willful? Emily is 10 years younger than you, yet she's gentle and virtuous. She knows her place but never complains, devoting herself to me and the children. You're a company owner yourself, but you're so jealous you want to drive Emily away. She bore my children and stayed by my side for 20 years. I couldn't possibly be so heartless and cruel to her. He spoke self-righteously, accusing me of being narrow-minded and petty. My heart felt like it was being pricked by 1,000 tiny needles. It wasn't intensely painful, but an unbearable ache spread throughout my body. I closed my eyes. 20 years ago, David and I were in love. Back then, we planted rice seedlings together, weeded together, and went to the market to sell herbs, hoping to earn money quickly to provide a better life for our future child. Because I was pregnant and anemic, David took a fork and went to the lake to break the ice and catch fish. Worried, I followed him and saw the ice crack, plunging him into the icy what? In my panic, despite being 3 months pregnant, I jumped into the hole in the ice and held on to him with all my might. We struggled under the ice for a while and finally reached the shore. The shock was too great. I had a miscarriage on the spot and couldn't have children anymore. My face was also badly cut by chunks of ice, leaving me disfigured. At that time, David cried and held me. Sarah, I'm sorry, I dragged you down. Once we have money, I'll definitely take you to a big hospital and make you 100 times more beautiful than you are now. After being discharged from the hospital, we never mentioned that child again. David was afraid of the nasty gossip in the village, so he moved us to the town and rented a small house. A steel mill was being built nearby, and David and I made a living selling steamed buns by the entrance every day. By chance, I saved the director who had fainted. Seeing I was diligent and reliable, he offered me a cleaning job at the factory for $18 a month. After working for a month, I discovered that a lot of the used wooden pallets and cardboard were being thrown away as trash. I went home and discussed it with David, suggesting we sort the trash and see if we could sell it. David was initially reluctant, thinking no one would want that junk, but he finally agreed after I persuaded him. We started going to the county seat, asking around. Finally, we sold the pallets to a small furniture factory. In just 1 year, we earned tens of thousands. I started contracting the scrap steel from the factory and taking older trains to the south and the capital to see if there were better markets. 5 years later, we were among the first to get rich in town. We had our own scrapyard and lumber mill. The steel mill expanded, and we benefited from a large supply of scrap iron. I started traveling for business, while David was in charge of processing and managing production. 10 years later, we established the Hawaiian Steel processing plant, becoming a pioneer in private industry during the economic boom years. We also owned 3 lumber mills and a cardboard factory. With our improved circumstances, I suggested adopting a child, but David refused. Sarah, having you in my life is enough. I don't want to adopt someone else's child, there's no connection. At his insistence, we've lived just the 2 of us all these years. No wonder David's father and David's mother hadn't rolled their eyes or made veiled criticisms about me being unable to provide an heir for so many years. It turned out the Meng family already had heirs to the family name, a pair of twin boys at that. That's when I understood why David's parents moved to the city for retirement. They had gone to reunite as a family, happily together. David frequently traveled between 2 cities. It turned out his heart belonged to another family. I opened my mouth, my voice hoarse and unrecognizable. David, you can't be heartless and cruel to her, but what about me? What do I count for all these years? Seeing my heartbroken expression, a trace of guilt flashed across David's face, and his voice softened. I'm sorry, Sarah, please understand me. I'm the only male heir in the Meng family. I can't let the family name die out with me. Think about it, we've worked our whole lives, building up tens of millions in assets. We can't just give it to outsiders, can we? As long as you don't make a fuss, Emily can coexist peacefully with you. She won't try to take your place, and the children will call you mom and be filial to you. I wiped away my tears and stared blankly at David. You mean I should be generous and accept Emily, thank her for giving birth to sons to honor you, and then you'll openly take her to events while I greet her with a smile and call her sister? David frowned. Emily gave birth to 2 grandsons for the Meng family, she's done a great service. Calling her sister isn't appropriate. From now on, you'll address her as Mrs. Meng, and she'll address you as Mrs. Meng. I stared at David, astonished. How could he do this to me? Perhaps he himself felt it was inappropriate, so he ushered all the relatives and friends outside. Sarah, I know you can't accept this right away. Since things are like this, just think about it slowly. In a few days, it's Mom's 60th birthday party, and Emily will bring the children to be officially welcomed into the family. You can talk to her properly then. I sat there all night, thinking. At dawn the next day, I rushed to the company and started organizing the finances. I was done with this 3-person relationship. Since the truth came out, David had stayed with Emily for days and hadn't come back. My sister and my nephew came back and told me what they had found out. Listening to my nephew's indignant account, my heart sank like a stone. David had bought Emily 3 storefronts and a large house with a yard. He had invested in an amusement park in the children's names. In the city, Emily and David were always seen together, and everyone thought they were the actual couple. They were envied as a handsome couple, deeply in love. Even though I had cried my eyes dry these past few days, hearing my sister and nephew describe their cozy everyday life, my tears still fell one by one. I didn't understand how someone could be so heartless. 20 years of a relationship, how could he just change like that? When David returned, he saw me sitting on the sofa, sobbing uncontrollably. When he held me, there was a faint scent of gardenias on him. She must have been an elegant and gentle woman. He gently wiped away my tears and kissed my forehead. For a moment, I felt as if I was back 20 years ago. We were most in love back then. We traveled to Chongqing because a client refused to admit receiving the goods, claiming we had forged the receipt. That was everything we owned, including money borrowed from relatives and friends. We could only corner the boss, arguing at first, then begging. We only allowed ourselves 2 steamed buns a day and drank well water when thirsty. At night, we slept under a bridge, shivering from the cold. That day, the boss hired thugs who broke David's leg. I cried just like this. I thought about giving up, about going back. If we continued like this, David would lose his life. David held me just as tightly, wiping my tears. Sarah, don't cry, we'll definitely get the money back. Even if I lose everything, I'll bear it myself. The tears from back then mingled with the tears from today, and a bitter taste spread all the way to my throat. David, can you please not see her anymore? There's a new technology now called in vitro fertilization. Can we try IVF? I'm not afraid of suffering, I'm only 45, I can definitely. David's body stiffened, and his gaze flickered towards the door. Following his gaze, I realized he wasn't alone. This was the first time I saw Emily. Just as I had imagined, she was gentle and elegant, wearing a pale moon-colored formal gown, with her hair pinned up and a pearl hairpin by her ear. Her whole person radiated a soft, maternal femininity. And me, worn out by years of hard work, my eyes were full of wrinkles, and I was usually dressed in a neutral-colored suit. The scar above my eyebrow, though much fainter, still looked unsightly. I was truly inferior. Emily's gaze was fixed on David's arm tightly around me, and a flash of hurt crossed her eyes. She still walked over gracefully and gently addressed me as sister. David said it's Mom's 60th birthday party tomorrow and asked me to come early to help out. I hope you don't mind? Then she looked at David with a hint of complaint. Maybe I shouldn't have come today and upset sister. We're both women, I know sister is feeling bad. Saying this, she lowered her head with red-rimmed eyes. David must have cared for her deeply, as he released me without hesitation, stood up, and put his arm around Emily. He didn't say anything, just gently patted her back and kissed her forehead. At that moment, I was completely clear-headed. I finally gave up hope. It was time to resolve everything. I wiped away my own tears and slowly stood up. Since you're here, you might as well stay. You'll be staying eventually anyway. After saying that, I walked upstairs. The 2 children rushed towards David. Daddy, this house is so big, are we going to live here from now on? David had one arm around Emily and the other around the boy who spoke, his eyes full of doting affection. This is your home. If you want to live here, you can. If you don't, Daddy can buy a bigger one. Everything in the Meng family will be yours from now on. I gave a bitter laugh. It turned out I had just been doing all the work for someone else's benefit. Entering the room, I took out my early mobile phone and dialed a number. Ms. Chen, bring all the documents for the banquet tomorrow. At David's mother's birthday party, Emily wore a bright red formal gown and stood side by side with David at the entrance, greeting guests. The sunlight shone on her well-maintained face, making her look exceptionally charming and young. If David wasn't my husband, I would have also sighed in admiration, thinking she was a good wife. The two boys were laughing and chatting around David's mother, dressed in formal outfits, looking impressive and adorable. David's mother's eyes were squinted into slits, and her mouth hadn't stopped smiling. When someone came forward to congratulate her, David's mother introduced them proudly. These are the twin boys my new daughter-in-law gave birth to, they're very filial. Relatives and friends looked at me, some with sympathy, some with mockery, some with pity and surprise. My father just patted my shoulder and sighed. Who can you blame but yourself for not being more capable? Just be sensible and don't make a fuss with David, or you'll be the one to suffer. I looked calmly at David, who was walking among the guests with Emily on his arm. I watched as David introduced Emily and the two children to all their relatives and friends. As the banquet was about to start, David seemed to remember me. He walked over, smiling, with his arm around his precious wife, and a child in his hand. Sarah, this is James, the slightly chubbier one is his younger brother Thomas. The two children looked somewhat like Emily, peach blossom eyes, pointed chins, small mouths. The older boy looked at me with disgust. You're so ugly, not pretty at all like Mom. Yeah, and there's a scar, it's so ugly. The two children then complained to David, Daddy, we don't like her, we don't want to call her Mom. We have our own mom, why would we call her Mom? She's so ugly, it's embarrassing to be seen with her. David, dotingly, pinched the children's cheeks. What did Daddy say? If you call Sarah Mom, she'll give you a big gift. The two children looked at each other hesitantly. Emily lightly smiled and straightened David's clothes. David, the children are just a little shy since they've just arrived, don't force them. Sister is so generous, she wouldn't stoop to arguing with children. Besides, the whole Meng family belongs to little James and Thomas anyway, why bother with gifts? Don't make the children say things they don't mean. I sneered. They weren't even officially welcomed into the family yet and they were already thinking of claiming everything. Seeing the sarcastic look on my face, the younger boy suddenly got angry and pushed me. You ugly monster. You stole Daddy from us. We don't like you, get out of our house. I stumbled and fell to the ground, my ankle throbbing with pain. David rushed over to help me up, then turned to scold James. Emily slapped James's head. What did Mommy teach you? You have to be polite and filial to Sarah Mom. If you don't listen, Daddy won't want you anymore. James cried out, I won't do it again. I want Daddy. I won't make him angry anymore. Guilt flashed across David's face, and he quickly let go of me and held James in his arms. There, it's all Daddy's fault, don't cry. Daddy will always love Jamie. James, tears welling in his eyes, sobbed and hugged David's neck. Daddy, don't leave me and Mommy. David put his arms around Emily and the children and quickly promised repeatedly, no, Daddy won't leave you. Daddy promises to stay with you forever. David's mother walked over. Seeing James's tearful eyes, her face darkened. Who made my older grandson angry? I won't let them get away with it. James's gaze fell on me. David's mother immediately said with displeasure, Sarah, how did you make the child cry? Not having been a mother is just no good, you have no maternal instinct. From now on, you should learn from Emily, learn how to be a wife and a good mother. I looked at David's mother in astonishment. All these years, even though I was busy working outside, I never neglected her. Every time I went somewhere, I brought her local specialties and delicacies, and I took her shopping for jewelry and ornaments on every holiday. I still remembered when I first married into the Meng family, we only had 2 small shacks. She held my hand and said gratefully, Sarah, my family has let you down, we can't afford anything. Don't worry, from now on, I'll treat you like my own daughter. If there's food, you eat first, if there's cloth, you wear it first. All these years, I treated her like my own mother, showing her filial piety, and no matter how difficult things were, I never shortchanged her. It turned out it was all one-sided. In her heart, the gentle and sweet Emily was the daughter-in-law she was satisfied with, while I was crude and unpleasant, needing to learn from that woman. Seeing my grim face, David quickly put his arm around David's mother and walked towards the living room. Mom, today is the big day for your older ensign to be officially welcomed into the family. Please sit down quickly, your precious grandsons are waiting to honor their grandparents. Emily also had the good sense to link her arm with David's mother. Mom, Jamie, and Thomas also prepared gifts for you. The children spent half a month making them by hand. They said they wanted to wish Grandma a long life. David's mother immediately beamed with joy. Good, good, my older grandsons are filial. Our family has good stock, smart and filial, not like some people who always have a sullen face and look unlucky. The three walked inside chatting and laughing. As they crossed the threshold, Emily turned back and looked at me, the disdain in her eyes no longer hidden. I gave a bitter laugh. I deserved to be mocked. I had worked like a cow and a horse for 20 years, all for someone else's benefit. Inside the main hall of the old house, David's father and David's mother sat smiling in the main seats, with Emily and David standing on either side. The master of ceremonies began speaking, narrating David and Emily's shared hardships and unwavering devotion. Finally, he emotionally announced the fruits of their love, James and Thomas. The two children obediently knelt on the red cushion and simultaneously wished their grandparents long life and prosperity. David's father and David's mother repeatedly said good, good. They called the family elders and opened the thick family register. Under the witness of the 4 prominent family members, they added the names of James as the eldest son and Thomas as the second son below David's. Everyone applauded, congratulating David's father and David's mother. It was as if Emily was the Meng family's rightful daughter-in-law, and I was just the Meng family's livestock, a barren woman. David's mother took out a pair of special lockets and put them around the children's necks. My good grandsons, may you live long and bring honor to the family name. David's father took out 2 property deeds and placed them in the children's hands. My good grandsons, Grandpa saved up money to buy these for you, they're not your father's. The 2 children took the things and looked at each other. Grandpa, what about Mommy's? We have gifts, doesn't Mommy get one? David's father and David's mother laughed, dotingly tapping the children's noses. I knew our family children were filial. Look how eager they are. Yes, yes, everyone gets something. Saying this, David's mother took out an old jewelry box and handed it to Emily. This is an emerald bracelet, a family heirloom passed down through the generations. You've done a great service to our family. Today, Mom is handing over the Meng family and the bracelet to you. Emily snapped open the jewelry box, and everyone gasped. A shimmering green light radiated from it. It was indeed a rare 100-year-old emerald. Based on the current jewelry market, it was worth at least hundreds of thousands of dollars. Emily immediately said with feigned surprise, Mom, it's too valuable, I can't accept it. David's mother shoved it back into Emily's hand. You're the Meng family's daughter-in-law, who else would I give it to? Emily hesitated, then looked up shyly at David. David nodded, his eyes smiling. Emily, if Mom gives it to you, just take it. You've been through a lot all these years. David then took the microphone and announced loudly, today is not just a double celebration, I also have a major announcement to make. All our relatives and friends are here today to witness it. The hall instantly fell silent, everyone looking at David in confusion. David stepped forward, raised his right hand, and declared loudly, today I formally announce that the steel mill is being transferred to James and Thomas. The 3 lumber mills are being given to Ms. Emily. The entire hall was instantly silent, the air still. The steel mill was worth 60 million, and the 3 lumber mills were worth 20 million. No one expected David to just give them away like that. He wasn't even 50 yet, how impatient he was to show his devotion. He had completely forgotten about me, forgotten that the steel mill and lumber mills were businesses I had painstakingly negotiated, the empire I had painstakingly built. I clapped my hands together, pushing through the crowd. Mr. David's deep affection is truly admirable, but isn't it a bit despicable, or rather, shameless, to take his wife's money and give it to his mistress? I looked at David coldly, wanting to see if he had a shred of conscience, a trace of humanity. David's face changed. He grabbed my arm and glared at me fiercely. Sarah, what nonsense are you talking about? Go home immediately. Then he whispered in my ear, only close relatives and friends are here today, don't throw a tantrum. We can talk about anything when we get back. I yanked my arm away from David, snatched the microphone, and faced everyone squarely. Since everyone is here today, you can all be witnesses. I, Sarah, am formally divorcing David. At the same time, I've hired a lawyer to tally the assets, and I'll be taking half of everything. David's face turned ugly, his gaze fixed on me, dark and menacing. In front of everyone, did he dare claim all the assets were his? My contributions over the years were plain for all to see. Before David could speak, David's mother was indignant. She slapped the table and reprimanded me. Half? Sarah, I didn't realize you were so greedy and insatiable. How dare you demand a share of my family's property? Don't think you deserve immense credit just because you helped David manage the company. You were our daughter-in-law. It was your duty to make money for the family. Seeing my serious expression, David's father cleared his throat and spoke. All right, all right. Sarah has been with David for 20 years. Although she didn't give birth to any children, she did contribute. I'll decide. We'll give her $50,000. Our family is generous and fair, not cruel people. Since she wants to leave, let her go. I laughed. So, out of tens of millions in assets, giving me $50,000 was considered generous and fair. I looked at David. David, since you brought back your mistress and her illegitimate children, let's part ways amicably. The fortune I built will not support that woman, and it certainly won't support her kids. David's eyes widened instantly, and he slapped me across the face. Sarah, who are you calling illegitimate children? Emily and I are legally married, and our children are legitimate. Emily sighed softly, walked over, looked at me with pity, and pulled out a red marriage certificate, holding it up high for everyone to see. David and I are legally married, we have a marriage certificate. Then, she looked at me contemptuously. Sarah, I took pity on you because you saved David, were disfigured and unwanted, and were devoted to David. So, I tolerated you being the third party behind David. I never expected you to be so greedy and insatiable. I stared at the marriage certificate in shock. On the left were golden symbols of dragons and phoenixes and the word, double happiness. On the right were the traditional characters for marriage certificate, with golden lanterns at the top and 2 magpies at the bottom. This was clearly the first official version of the marriage certificate. David and I have been married for 20 years. It's not that I didn't know about Sarah, it's that I didn't like to fight for fame and fortune or be petty. I felt sorry for her because she was ill and had a difficult time. Emily spoke slowly, her expression arrogant. My eyes were bloodshot, and I stared at the marriage certificate stubbornly. It meant that less than 5 years after I married David, he had already gotten a formal marriage certificate with Emily. And my marriage certificate was just a handwritten document. For so many years, I had been busy with he business and never thought about getting a formal marriage certificate. Today, I had become the mistress, the third party despised by everyone. David looked at me helplessly. Sarah, I tolerated you because you saved me back then and have been devoted to me all these years, so I didn't want to expose all this. Even Emily was magnanimous enough to tolerate you. Why did you have to make a scene? Now everyone knows. Emily is my lawfully wedded wife. I stared at David in disbelief, my voice trembling. What about me? Who am I? David turned his head, his voice neither loud nor soft. Even if you don't want to admit it, it doesn't change the facts. You are the mistress, the third party. It was like a thunderbolt exploded in my mind. I stared at David, stunned. A wave of dizziness swept over me, and my body swayed uncontrollably. Miss Chen walked over and supported me. Miss Sarah, look at the documents I prepared. I waved my hand, a bitter smile on my face. The steel mill had always been in David's name. If we weren't legally married, I was just a worker who volunteered without pay. How could I possibly divide the assets? Seeing my pale face and knowing I was about to collapse, David walked over and supported me. Sarah, as long as you don't make a fuss, you'll still be part of the Meng family. You can continue to help manage the company, and we'll take care of you in your old age. Emily has a peaceful nature and isn't interested in money or power. You should learn from her. Don't be so concerned with fame and fortune. Be more submissive and sensible like a woman should be. My eyes were bloodshot as I looked at David. I slapped him with all my strength. You animal. Aren't you afraid may God strike you down? David was instantly enraged and raised his hand to hit me. Emily quickly grabbed his arm. David, since sister is so upset, let's not force her. Let her go. Saying this, she beckoned, and someone brought out a stack of bills. Sister, this is $50,000. If you're thrifty, it should be enough for you to live on for a few years. Everyone started talking amongst themselves. This daughter-in-law of the Meng family is good, so generous. She's even giving money to the mistress. Exactly. If it were me, I'd beat her out with a stick and dump a load of crap on her face. Looking at Emily's arrogant expression, I picked up the money and threw it in her face. You'll go to hell. Saying this, I leaned on Ms. Chen and staggered out of the Meng family old house. Leaving the Meng family, I collapsed, realizing I had nowhere to go. I didn't own a single property. My family home would only rant and scold me, forcing me to go back and apologize. If I had to apologize to the mistress and beg forgiveness from that animal, I would rather die. I sat on the bridge all night, staring at the river, thinking all night. Finally, I understood everything. 5 years into our marriage, when we were just starting to get rich, David had already changed his heart. He had fallen for the beautiful and gentle Emily but couldn't bear to give up me, the one who was so good at making money. So, all those years of sweet talk, all those years of care and consideration, how much of it was manipulation? Only he knew. As the first rays of spring sun appeared, I took a deep breath, washed my face with river water, and walked purposefully towards Director Peterson's house. Director Peterson had saved me once, he could definitely save me a second time. I am a grateful person. Although Director Peterson had been retired for several years, I still treated him like a mentor and family member. I visited them on holidays, and whenever something happened at their home, I was the first to offer help and work hard. Occasionally, I helped with cleaning and took them for health and travel. Once, when Aunt Mary was hospitalized and Director Peterson found it inconvenient to care for her, I insisted on canceling a business trip and stayed with them for a week. David had pointed at me angrily. Do you know how much we lose by delaying a week? We've already spent what we needed to. He's a retired nobody, why are you still treating him like royalty? I had reprimanded David with a cold face. David, how much effort did Director Peterson put into establishing the steel mill? When we couldn't get paid, who took the train and personally negotiated with the local authorities to help? You can't just think about the present, you have to have a conscience. When I knocked on Director Peterson's door, Director Peterson and Aunt Mary were stunned. Sarah, what's wrong? Your eyes are so swollen. Suddenly, all the grievances surged up. I hugged Aunt Mary and started to cry softly. Aunt Mary patted my back, comforting me. Director Peterson fumed. Tell me, did that scumbag David bully you? I won't let him get away with it today. My tears were uncontrollable, and I began to sob loudly. Amidst my crying, I choked out everything that had happened. Director Peterson's face immediately turned ashen with rage. He grabbed the stick by the door, ready to go find David. I quickly stopped him. Uncle Robert, it's no use. They have no shame left. Aunt Mary also quickly stopped Uncle Robert, trying to persuade him. Don't be impulsive, Sarah is so smart, she'll find a way. Let's sit down and discuss it properly. We definitely can't let that bastard off the hook. Uncle Robert sat down on the sofa, huffing, and pointed at me. Sarah, tell me what you want to do. Your Aunt Mary and I will definitely support you. That bastard. How dare he bully my goddaughter? All these years, Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary had been like family to me. We hadn't formally recognized our relationship out of concern for the impact it might have. Privately, Uncle Robert always treated me like a daughter, and I treated them like my elders. I thought for a moment and told them my plan. Uncle Robert pondered for a moment. Good, you're indeed the person I believed in, you have courage and determination. Afterward, Uncle Robert and I discussed a detailed plan. Uncle Robert and I visited the 4 steel giants. Based on my character and reputation, and with Uncle Robert as a guarantor, the 4 giants invested, and we established the New Wu steel mill. The 5 of us each owned 20% of the shares, and I was in charge of managing everything. What they valued was not just me, but also my connections and market resources outside the area. The fact that the Hawaiian steel mill was a leader here was also related to sales in other regions. This time, they all understood that my departure from the Hawaiian steel mill was an opportunity for them, a good chance to carve up Hawaiian's business. Who wouldn't want a piece of the pie? The New Wu steel mill was completed and operational within a month. During this time, I visited all my long-term clients one by one, telling them I had left Hawaiian and established the New Wu steel mill, hoping they would cooperate with my new factory. These were clients I had worked with for over a decade, they trusted me, not the Hawaiian steel mill. With the addition of the 4 steel giants' investment and Director Peterson's persuasion, within just 1 month, I won back 80% of my original clients. I quickly went to Shanghai and recruited some technicians with high salaries and hired a professional manager. Having traveled for business all these years, I had long realized that having a well-managed, strategic approach yielded twice the results with half the effort. I had once suggested hiring a professional manager and adopting scientific management practices, but David had lectured me, saying I wasn't down to earth, just learning flashy tricks and wasting money. Looking back now, he was probably afraid I would learn too much and gain control of the steel mill, so he kept a tight grip on it. The New Wu steel mill's receiving, processing, and sales operations were booming. Every day, delivery vehicles lined up for a mile at the entrance, 3-wheeled carts, small trucks, and large trucks. Trucks waiting to be loaded and shipped to other areas also formed a long line. I had to hire an older gentleman to direct the vehicles in and out in order. Uncle Robert was supposed to do it, but I felt bad for him at his age, so I asked him to just wander around the company when he wasn't busy, keep an eye out, and eliminate safety hazards. Uncle Robert walked around the production floor every day, carrying a teacup, occasionally offering guidance. When he wasn't busy, he would call old friends and chat in the office. Now, with even more clients, I was so busy my feet were killing me. After 2 months, our revenue reached tens of millions, far exceeding the mill's revenue. The four giants looked at the numbers, grinning from ear to ear. Sarah, I wasn't wrong about you. You're a born businesswoman. Miss Sarah, the government is strongly supporting private enterprises now. Go all out. If you need money, just say the word. Us four brothers will invest fully. Charles, one of the four giants, started secretly asking me out to dinner and movies. He would come to the steel mill when he wasn't busy and visit my office, checking in on me and showing concern. He insisted on taking me to the capital for plastic surgery. Sarah, you're actually very beautiful, you have the capable aura of a strong woman. Listen to me, if you get rid of this scar, you'll definitely be the most beautiful woman. I understood what Charles meant. His wife had passed away 3 years ago, and he wanted to pursue me and was trying to win me over. Thinking that I would indeed need to meet with important clients in the future and image was also important, I nodded and agreed. After arranging things at the steel mill, with Director Peterson holding down the fort, I went to the capital with Charles feeling reassured. The plastic surgeon consulted on my scar and said with regret, if you had come 10 years ago, the results might have been better. Now there's scar tissue, it can't be completely restored to its original state. Actually, I was happy just to recover half. After so many years, I didn't really care anymore. Based on my situation, the plastic surgeon also added a lift procedure. The surgery wasn't complicated, I had the consultation in the morning, the surgery in the afternoon, and by evening, I was wrapped in bandages, lying in a hospital bed. Charles was like an overly attentive partner, bringing me tea, water, and food, peeling and warming fruit when he wasn't busy. After staying for a week, the doctor removed the bandages. Looking at myself in the mirror, I was stunned. Perhaps it was from not being exposed to sunlight while hospitalized, plus using ointment every day, my skin was much fairer. The wrinkles around my eyes were gone, and the frown lines on my forehead were also gone. Aside from slight redness and swelling and a faint scar above my eyebrow, I looked 10 years younger. Charles immediately took me to a large department store and helped me pick out several smart professional outfits. Looking at the white suit jacket and black skirt, I couldn't help but tuck my legs in slightly. Charles pushed me to the mirror, and looking at myself, I couldn't help but open my mouth. Wasn't this a woman from television? Was this me? Charles looked me over with satisfaction, then slightly frowned and took me to a hair salon. He pointed at a picture and told the stylist, do it exactly like this. The cost doesn't matter. The stylist's eyes lit up, and after a lot of combing, styling, and curling, I was dozing off when he said, all done. Miss, are you satisfied? I opened my eyes and looked at myself in the mirror, instantly widening them. My plump cheeks were hidden by the slightly curled ear-length bob, making my entire jawline and face look much smaller, adding a touch of feminine softness. Charles placed his hand on my shoulder and said with a light laugh, I knew I had a good eye. All dressed up, you're definitely the most beautiful woman in Riverside City. What other woman has your capable aura? If you were my wife, I would have already had you looking perfect. As soon as he said that, the surroundings instantly fell silent. I was stunned too. After a moment, Charles coughed, breaking the awkwardness. All right, hurry up, the train will leave if we're late. I already called, everyone is waiting to welcome you tonight. I hurriedly pulled off the towel from my neck and let Charles pull me towards the station. All the way there, watching the scenery fly by and listening to Charles's non-stop chatter, I felt as if I had been reborn. Never before had such infinite confidence surged within me. In the past, I felt insecure about my appearance and ashamed that I couldn't have children, so I worked desperately to make money and desperately tried to be good to David, just wanting to compensate for my shortcomings. Now, thinking back, was any of it my fault? Was my appearance something I chose? Who was it that caused me to be unable to become a mother? Still a bit disoriented, I got off the train. A company car was already waiting at the exit. By the time I reached the steel mill, it was still light out. I couldn't help but marvel at how fast transportation had changed. In the past, going on a business trip meant my legs would be swollen from standing, and I could only eat the steamed buns I brought when I was hungry. As I stepped out of the car in my high heels, showing my long legs, the crowd instantly fell silent. All eyes were on me. The head of accounting was the first to react. She came up and hugged me. "Oh my gosh, my sister. You've become a big star. I almost didn't recognize you." Everyone burst into applause. Several of the company's clerical staff started touching me. "Sister, this fabric feels so smooth, is it acrylic? Sister, your waist is so thin. It looks great." Someone started touching my waist, someone else straightened my belt. I gave a bitter smile, letting them arrange me like a doll. It was my fault for being too easygoing, letting them treat me like an equal every day. Now I was embarrassed but could only endure it. Just as everyone was chatting away, a familiar voice called out, "Sarah, is that you?" The several sisters and friends stopped and looked at the person who had arrived. It was David. He was staring at me with wide eyes, disbelief on his face. "Sarah, how did you become like this?" I calmly smoothed my hair. "What is it, Mr. David? Am I bothering you?" "No, no, I mean you look better." Before I could speak, several of the women were indignant. "Our Sarah always looks good. Some people are just heartless men who prefer Vixen." "Exactly. He treats that woman who stinks of cheap perfume like a treasure, but she wouldn't even let her tie his shoes." They were sharp-tongued, one after another, ridiculing David. "Mr. David, you haven't seen our Sarah is pretty now and want to come crawling back, have you? Let me tell you, our Sarah isn't blind. A man tainted by that woman? We find it disgusting." David's face turned ugly. "Have you said enough? I'm Sarah's husband, your boss. Be careful, or I'll fire you." "Oh? Didn't you get married to that vixen? When did you become our Sarah's husband again? What? Did you divorce the vixen overnight, or did you kick her out? Now you realize how good our Sarah is? Too late. Sarah has admirers now." Seeing that the conversation was getting out of hand, I quickly spoke up. "David, what do you need to see me about?" David looked at the crowd around me. "Sarah, let's talk in your office." Saying this, he reached out to pull me. I yanked my arm away. "Mr. David, to avoid gossip, let's talk right here." David looked around, forcing himself to speak. "Sarah, I know I said some harsh things that day. I'm here to apologize today. Don't be angry anymore. Come home with me." I sneered. "Home? You're home with your mistress?" "David, tell me, where is my home? My husband of 20 years is married to someone else, the children are 10 years old, the house is his, the factory is his. Tell me, what do I have?" As I spoke, my eyes welled up. David stiffened his neck and stepped forward to pull me. "Sarah, why bother with material things when you're alone? Having you in my heart is enough. All these years, did I ever deprive you of food or drink? You had all the freedom to spend. Wherever you went, weren't you respectfully addressed as Mrs. David? Wasn't that all because of me?" As David's hand touched my shoulder, Charles dropped what he was holding, lunged forward, and shoved David away. "Get your filthy hands off Sarah." David stumbled, swaying before regaining his balance. "Mr. Charles, what are you doing? It's my wife I'm touching, what business is it of yours?" Charles scoffed. "Your wife? Isn't your wife that delicate, Emily? What, Mr. David, are you trying to have your cake and eat it too, treating our Miss Sarah like a fool?" Saying this, he put his arm around my shoulder. "David, I'm formally informing you today. Sarah and I are dating. From now on, please be respectful, or don't blame me for being impolite." Everyone gasped, their eyes darting between me and Charles. David froze, then quickly reacted. "That's bullshit. Sarah and I have been married for 20 years, she's my wife, don't you dare talk nonsense." Charles grabbed David and glared at him fiercely. "All right. You say Sarah is your wife? Then divorce the one you're with, kick them out immediately, and I'll admit Sarah is yours." David stiffened but still insisted stubbornly, "My affairs are none of your business. You know nothing about Sarah and my feelings. She loves me and is willing to be with me without a proper title." Charles couldn't hold back anymore and punched him in the face. "You bastard. I'm going to kill you today." The two quick LY started fighting, and everyone immediately rushed forward to pull them apart. However, anyone with eyes could see that people were using the opportunity to kick David or slap him. By the time they were separated, David's lip was split, his face was swollen, and he had a large lump on his forehead. David wiped his mouth, then pointed at me angrily. "Sarah, you just stood there and watched him bully your husband. Is this what a wife should do?" I really didn't want to waste time arguing with that useless man. I walked over, linked my arm with Charles's, and gently wiped his face. "Darling, why bother getting worked up over him? Are you hurt anywhere? Let me see." David's face immediately darkened. He pointed at me with trembling fingers. Sarah, have you no shame? You're flirting with another man right in front of me. Do you have any decency? I walked over and slapped him across the face. Do you have the right to talk about shame with me? Look at this first before you talk about decency. Saying this, I slapped a piece of paper onto his face. Originally, I didn't want to expose him. What did it matter to me if David wanted to wear a cuckold's hat and raise another man's children? But I truly didn't want to waste time arguing with a lunatic. Let him go home and fight with his wonderful mistress. David was still grabbing the paper and angrily accusing me. Sarah, have you moved on to kept men? You're undermining your own company for that man. You're still. His voice trailed off. David's eyes were fixed on the paper. This is impossible. How can this be? I said calmly, Mr. David, instead of wasting time arguing with me, you should go home and ask your wonderful wife. If not, you can take them to the capital tomorrow and get a test done yourself. Oh, the earliest train ticket is probably for tomorrow morning at 6. You should have enough time to get home now. David suddenly pointed at me. Emily couldn't possibly betray me. How could someone so key and virtuous betray me? You must be jealous of her and deliberately slandering her. You vicious woman. Emily even kindly advised me to take you back, and I didn't expect you to be so malicious as to fake a paternity test. Charles looked at David like he was an idiot. Mr. David, I personally had a friend obtain the samples from you, and I even got double samples. You can doubt me, but how can you not trust Sarah? Is she the type to play dirty tricks? Then he spoke with arrogance. This time in the capital, I accompanied Sarah for a full medical checkup. The doctor said that falling into the water and having a miscarriage back then would only cause a low chance of getting pregnant. Sarah is perfectly capable of having children. The one who couldn't have children must be you. Everyone started speaking up. 20 years. So he was the one who couldn't father children, raising illegitimate children and acting so smug all day. Sarah is so open and honest. You kicked her out. Did she ever curse at you? Did she ever cause you trouble? You're just stubborn and refuse to admit the truth. Exactly. Sarah is so classy. He was the one being cuckolded, and he's still saying others are spreading rumors. He deserved to be made a fool of. The more people said, the nastier it got. David's face turned from ashen to purple, then flushed red. Finally, he pointed at me. Sarah, just you wait. If I find out you were behind this, I won't let you off the hook. Saying this, he fled in a panic. I heard about David again 10 days later. David had broken 3 of Emily's ribs and fractured her leg. Emily sued David at the police station and demanded a divorce, claiming half the assets. Her reason was that she was David's legal wife. David ranted, calling her a slut, saying how dare she demand assets after sleeping with other men and giving birth to illegitimate children. Emily just calmly said, if I slept with other men, didn't you also keep a mistress? You supported Sarah for 20 years, and what did I say about it? David was stunned. He really couldn't argue that I was his original wife. The trap he set had ultimately caught him. Given the situation, both parties had been unfaithful, and the court granted the divorce. And according to the newly enacted marriage law, Emily was indeed entitled to half the assets. David sent word asking me to testify that we were the original couple and Emily was the mistress, the third party. I didn't go because I had more important things to do. I needed to take advantage of the situation. While David was detained, I had people spread rumors everywhere that the Hawaiian company was going bankrupt. At the same time, I reported the steel mill for tax issues. The steel mill was closed for inspection and reorganization, and the workers immediately panicked. During this time, I decisively started hiring workers. Within 2 days, over half the workers from the Hawaiian steel mill left. They all came to work for me. To show their loyalty, every one of them cursed David the moment they saw me, calling him inhumane, a beast, a sterile mule. Eventually, all sorts of awful things were being said about him everywhere. My ears were calloused from hearing them. The once booming Hawaiian steel mill completely collapsed in less than 3 months. That arrogant, condescending Mr. David became a cockroach. I guess what goes around comes around. By the time David and Emily finished their divorce proceedings, all that was left of the steel mill were empty factory buildings and some machinery. They still owed a lot of money to suppliers. As for the money owed to him, people refused to pay, citing his halt in production and failure to fulfill subsequent contracts, telling him to sue them if he dared. Finally, to avoid prison, David had to reluctantly sell the machinery to pay off the debts. After everything was cleared, they were left with 3 houses and a few $1,000s. Emily showed her true colors completely. She started moving things out of the villa overnight. She even took down the light fixtures from the walls. The only thing she couldn't take from the bathroom was the toilet. When David returned home, he found empty rooms. The floor was still there, the walls were still there, and the bathroom was still usable. In a fit of rage, David stormed into Emily's place with a stick. With one strike, Emily slowly fell to the ground, blood gushing from her head. She lay there flailing, eyes wide open, staring at David. David saw Emily's eyes roll back and immediately came to his senses. He dropped the stick and ran off frantically. David came to find me. He stopped me at the alley entrance of the steel mill. Frantically grabbing my arm, he fell to his knees with a thud. "Sarah, I was wrong, please save me." Looking at David, who looked dark and thin, I gave a light laugh. "How do you expect me to save you? I killed Emily. I don't want to go to prison, Sarah, please save me quickly." I was stunned. I didn't expect David to be so vicious. I thought he just wanted to borrow money or get the steel mill back. I didn't expect it was about a human life. "Sarah, quickly find someone to take the blame for me. Say he was a burglar who accidentally killed her during a robbery. You have so many workers under you, give them money, even $1 million if necessary, they'll definitely agree." I looked at David coldly, narrowing my eyes, and pushed him away. "This is a human life, it's a death sentence. How can you show such disregard for human life? Who would trade their life for money?" A flicker of hesitation crossed David's face. After a moment, he gritted his teeth and fell to his knees again, bowing his head forcefully to me. "Sarah, if worst comes to worst, please take my place. Don't worry, if you go in, I'll definitely use my connections to make sure you don't get the death penalty. I'll help you manage the steel mill, and all the money I make will be yours." A surge of anger rushed to my head. I kicked David away. I wished I could slap myself to death. For 20 whole years, I had married such a thing. Calling him an animal was an insult to animals. David tried to lunge at me again, but Charles rushed over and stepped in front of him. I pulled Charles back and said in a low voice, "Don't touch him. Call the police immediately. He killed Emily." Soon after, the police arrived, and David was taken away. Before getting in the car, he struggled desperately. "Sarah, you said you would risk your life for me. You can't abandon me. You must help me find a lawyer." "Sarah, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I do care about you. You can't be so heartless and abandon me." A week later, David was sentenced to 30 years for intentional homicide. Emily didn't die, but she might as well have been dead. She suffered brain damage, was paralyzed, and was sometimes lucid, sometimes confused. No one wanted the 2 children, so they could only be sent to an orphanage. David's father and David's mother came to see me. In just a few months, they had aged 10 years and walked with a shuffle. "Sarah, you're David's lawfully wedded wife, you can't abandon him. Sarah, your mother and I are old and confused, don't hold it against us. We still have to depend on you, our daughter-in-law." I sat in my office, not even looking up, and had the security guard escort them out, instructing them not to let them in again in the future. David's father was right, the Meng family genes were strong indeed, just as shameless and immoral. David called from prison asking to see me. I just told them they had the wrong number. After calling 20 times in a row, no one contacted me again. From then on, the past faded like smoke in the wind, and I started a new life. 3 years later, I was named an outstanding businesswoman and represented Riverside City at the National Convention Center, standing on the stage at the National Assembly Hall, experiencing the tremendous changes brought about by the economic boom years. I met more excellent business owners and became involved in more industries. I decisively went to the United States to study and established a new processing plant. Throughout this time, Charles was always with me, encouraging me. Charles and I got married. He had a 15-year-old daughter who was very cute and liked me very much. Amidst the busy life, my life became complete. I had a husband, a child, and a career. Following the tide of the economic boom years, our family of 3 marched forward confidently, leaving a trail of laughter and joy in our wake.